Okay, with Mishna Berura in the first halach, page 150, the Mechaber explained that the provision, the liability of Kore's feeding Yom Kippur is koseves hagaso, the volume of a large date. And he says, what is koseves hagaso? It's pochus mechabeyo, slightly less than an egg. An egg, we mentioned, is 2 kzeisim. So the large date is slightly less than that. And we don't differentiate whether the person is of a small volume or a large volume person, whether the person is a midget or a giant. That a person is affected positively by it, it takes the edge off the hunger. He's no longer in that total afflicted state. So we're the Mishna Berura. Kseves hagaso. Avagav d'chol isurei haTorah mesharinam b'chazayis. All prohibitions regarding eating is always a kazayis. Kol ze'echid d'chsivi achilo. If it says achila, achila means kazayis. That's halacha l'mishmi Sinai. You have it, Alan? Ma she'en kein b'yom kippur lo chsiv achilo elamona akosov his Torah denies us from eating. B'loshen inui d'chsiv hanefshe shel lo su'uneh, the soul that will not be afflicted. Now the question is, what's affliction? Doesn't put the person at ease, give him that sense of comfort or slight satisfaction. Less than that, you're still as afflicted and as hungry as before. See it in a minute, the Be'er Alocha. And what is Kseves hagaso? The Mechaber says, this is where it all starts from. The whole question about what is a kazayis, what is a beyo, what exactly is it? Shlom a beyo beinunis. Now, what is this? See, regarding the date, we say Kseves hagaso. It's a large date. Now, the egg we're speaking about, small, medium, large, extra large. What kind of egg are we speaking about? We say it's slightly less than an egg. So Mishna Berura says it's beyo beinunis. Medium-sized egg, slightly less than a medium-sized egg. Ein dogam revavo. Dogam Rav is the no debudo. That's his commentary. Is like in the glosses in Shulchan Aruch. Shekosov the chabeya homerkan who believe klipa. We're speaking about it's without the shell, without the shell. Ubechuvas binyan tzion hachadoshas cholikolov. Binyan tzion is the Aruch line there. One second. I just want. Well, he brought up the whole idea of the smaller today, right? The shir zeh shover, the kimlu l'chachomi, the shir zeh miyas v'daito, d'cholodem ma'at o harbe. It affects the person positively, gives the person a degree of satisfaction, to a small degree, to a greater degree. U'b'botzim zeh lo miyas v'daito d'shum enush. But less than that, it doesn't take the edge off whatsoever for anyone, regardless of how small you may be. V'hinei mashe Horel bono ha'mechaber shiru l'nyin chiyuv after isuro hu afilu b'choshu. I mean, he's telling us that the liability of Koresh is only this, even less than that. What is he focusing? Even less, you're not permitted, right? Chatzi shorosim in Torah. The person eats that less than a kzayis of non-kosher food. It's Torah violation. One is not subject to malchus. So it's not as serious, but it's Torah violation. So over here, you're not permitted to eat on Yom Kippur. Even if it's less than the volume of a date. The volume of a date, that's the ultimate level. But even less, see, why is the Mechaber addressing this issue? What a person is ill, I mean, it's a question of pikuach nefesh, and he has to eat. So the question is, we always try to minimize the violation. If you can do it at a less level, it is not a more advanced level. So he's telling me, so he has to say, what is the actual full violation? Kseves hagaso. That's the volume of the large date. So therefore now, if a person has to eat, and you're able to eat less rather than more, as long as it's less than that, then it's to a lesser degree. Go ahead. No, because it's a halacha in inui. It says the soul that will not be afflicted. It's not a halacha eating on Yom Kippur. You have to be in an afflicted state. A kazayis is still in an afflicted state. Although you're not permitted to eat less than it doesn't make a difference. Yes, only. It's a love. It's chatzi shir. Because the Xersa goes chatzi shir osam in Torah. Yeah, all Isurim now. It's interesting. So I'm going to speak about. The Gemara says in Yuma, how do we know chatzi shir is osam in Torah? It's based on a pasuk. The Torah says there's a Torah file you're not permitted to eat chaylev. Chaylev is the fat which is located in a certain part of the animal, a kosher animal. So the Torah says kol chaylev, any amount of chaylev. Not only chaylev, any amount. So from this, it's in Machlokes Rabbi Yochanan Shlokish, is it an asmachta or is it a true interpretation? We rule like Rabbi Yochanan, it's not an asmachta. Chatzi shir osam in Torah. But even less than the full volume is a Torah violation. You're not permitted to eat pochas mashir. Okay, that's chatzi shir. Chatzi doesn't mean a half. Even a minuscule. Well, that's chametz is also learned from there. Same thing. All Torah provisions. To everything. That the Torah is setting the principle, the rule, and I draw from that to every provision. There's a question: what about regard? Is it only Yisrael? There's a machlokes rishonim, achronim. What about? Is it limited to provisions of eating? What about possessing chametz? Person possesses less than a kazayis of chametz. Do we apply to the halach of chatzi shir? Right? Same thing. Because this is what the Gemara says. The Gemara says, Rabbi Yochanan says, chatzi shir osam in Torah. He says, the Gemara should stop right there. He says, the chozi litztarufei. He's giving me a reason. Because you're able to, if you have two half zaysim, you combine them, you create a full measure. So the chozi litztarufei. Because they can be combined. What do we need a reason? Torah says, you're not permitted to eat any amount. What does Rabbi Yochanan have to give you the reason? Chozi litztarufei. Because they could be combined. Right? So there's an argument how to understand the Gemara. It's an argument to be shown. Now, on the Torah level, usually we don't have fences. We don't have fences on the Torah level. The concept of fence, all fences are rabbinical. So some Rishonim learn over here, this is a Torah fence. We've discussed anything we talk about chilas pras, whatever it is, a 3-minute time frame, a 9-minute time frame. Although you didn't eat the full measure at one time, you didn't swallow one time. If it's within that time from Torah values as if you did swallow it at one time. That's the concept of talk about chilas pras. Okay. So let's say you eat less than the full measure. Personally, I just want to taste the non-kosher meat. A sliver. So you think you're safe? What happens if within that time frame of 3 minutes, 9 minutes, you eat a few more slivers? So what happens is, it's chozin l'tarufei. It's a fence. It's a Torah fence. If you eat any amount, that any amount could actually participate in the full amount. If you eat that full amount during that time frame. The Torah says, we don't even want you to start. Because you start, you may end off where you ate the full measure. So it's a Torah fence. That's the concept of chosed tarufei. Okay? That's one interpretation. The other interpretation is, I'll tell you, there's a halachic difference between two interpretations. You following, Yossi? So it's Xera Midoraisa. No, because that's the reason why the Torah doesn't allow chatzi shir. Because it's chatzi l'tarufei. It's a Torah fence. That's why chatzi shir is osam in the Torah. No, that's what they're drawing from kol chalef. Okay. The other interpretation is this: if a full shear is detrimental to your spirituality, full shear. So a part of that amount, right? You have a certain level of poison. So if you take the full dose, a person will die. Now, when you have the full dose, if you have lesser than the full dose, the person may not die. But evidently, why when you have the full dose does it cause death? Because evidently there must be something in every aspect of that dose that contributes to the intensity of whatever it is that destroys the person, which caused the person to die. If half a gazayis is totally permitted, is mutter min Torah, there's nothing innate in it that affects you negatively. So how do you take two things which are permitted, and when you combine them, it becomes Isser? So evidently, that tells me, that reveals that even the lesser, there's something negative. Because how do you take two positive, something which is a name, which is neutral, when you combine it, it creates Isser? Wait a second, good. But if you remember the Gemara in Chulin, you wouldn't ask that question. Because the Gemara says, Basa b'cholav chidush. No, wait. So the Gemara says, you can't extrapolate from a chidush. You cannot draw from a chidush. Right? The Gemara says, how do we know tam kiker? Right? So we'll learn from Basa b'cholav. He says, no, how do you take two permitted items, combine them, create Isser? This is a novel. It's limited to where the Torah says it. Chad Sishur, we're drawing to every, we're applying to every similar situation. It's not chidush. So how do we answer is because this is the rationale. Since we see when you combine them, you create the full measure. Evidently, there must be something negative, even the partial measure. You following? So what's the halachic difference? This is the halachic difference. A person makes a shvua. No, he's not going to eat 12 ounces of bread, 16 ounces of bread, a loaf of bread. Okay? Now the person said, look, I said I won't eat a whole loaf of bread within 24 hours. I'll eat a half a loaf. Is he permitted to eat half a loaf? So if the concern is it's a fence, it's a problem. You eat a half a loaf, you may end up eating the full loaf within 24 hours. But if you say there's something innate in the object, you can't apply it to a shua, because the oath that I accepted upon myself is only eating a full loaf. You can't say there's something wrong with a half a loaf, because the netter or the shua is only the whole loaf, not a half a loaf. That's a halachic difference of how you understand Chatzi Shorosim in Torah, right? So let's understand now. You're not permitted to eat on Yom Kippur an amount that will somehow sate you to the smallest degree. Not sate you, will take the edge off your hunger, right? That's what you're not permitted to do. So if you tell me that it's a fence, a Torah fence, you eat less, you may end up eating more within that certain period of time. That's Chatzi Shorosim in Torah. But if you say there's something innate in the food, like non-kosher, like nevela or a non-kosher species, it has no application to Yom Kippur, correct? According to that understanding, Chatzi should be permitted on Yom Kippur, right? It's like the whole loaf of bread, because Torah says you must be afflicted. So if I eat less, I'm still in an afflicted state, right? That's like taking the oath or taking the netter, right? So it's difficult. How do we understand the Chatzi Shir seemingly? But the Gemara says explicitly for Yom Kippur also, and the Gemara differentiates. The Gemara differentiates between in Shuas between Yom Kippur and others, because Yom Kippur there's nothing really wrong with the food. It's not the prohibition doesn't emanate from food. It's the time that causes the prohibition, right? It's the zman. It's not. Okay, leave that at there. No, but there's no pasuk to tell me. Pasuk Cholov is a pasuk. Doesn't say Yom Kippur. Doesn't say Chatzi Shir Osim in Torah. We're applying that principle even to Yom Kippur. It should be mutar min Torah. It should be permitted according to this understanding. Unless you say it's only, maybe the Rabbi Yochanan would agree with Reish Lakish. It's only drabanan. Maybe it's only drabanan. Where it emanates from the essence of what it is, that's a doraisa. But maybe Yom Kippur would only be a drabanan, according to this understanding, according to those other Rishonim. Not sure. For what I recall, I don't think anybody addresses it. We had something similar, if you remember. Again, we learned Sanhedrin. See, I can't fall down. He learns Megillah and Brochus and Be'ah. But we learned Sanhedrin. There's a Mishnah. The Mishnah speaks about, is a Kohen Gadol permitted to follow? He's not permitted to contaminate himself. There were 7 relatives. Could he follow the mito? So there's a machlokus in the Mishnah. Machlokus Tanoim. The beer carrying the corpse. So Reb Yehuda says that when they take the remains of his relative, he cannot be, visually he cannot be on the same street to see it. When they turn the corner, then he's permitted to come. That's the distance he has to keep. Why? Because it says, Umin HaMikdash lo yetzei. He cannot leave his status of Kedusha. The other big Mikdash lo yetzei means that even though he's an Onein, even though it's pre-burial, he's permitted to do the Avodah. That's the way we rule. But Rabbi Yehuda says no. He cannot put himself in a position where it'll compromise on his Kedusha. Okay? Most Rishonim learned it's Nasmachta. Rabbi Yehuda's position is Nasmachta. It's rabbinical. The Ramban says over there it's a Doraisa. So we have a fence, which is a Torah fence. We're concerned that if you're on the same street as the corpse, you may get too close and you may contaminate yourself. And therefore, you can't put yourself in that position where you may contaminate yourself. So that's another example of offense on a Torah level, similar to Rabbi Yochanan, where according to those that interpret that chosel it's tarufe. If you eat less, you may eat more within that time frame, then you're eating a full measure of Yisr. No, there's no. We're talking about it. No, that's Rabbi Yehuda. That's a Tana. That's a Tana. No. It's a question. That's what he's interpreting that posuk. According to Ramban's understanding, it's not an asmachta, but it's a true interpretation. That's exactly what the Torah is saying. Okay, let's see. Chovos Levos. Of wine? No. Even less than a revius. That's Chatzi Shur. That's Chatzi Shur also min Torah. Because that compromises his Kedusha. A Nazir has a status of Kedusha. A Nazir. So even a minuscule amount of wine, he's not permitted. No, only if he's contaminated. No, even if he eats a full measure. Only contamination cancels his Nazirus. He'll get Malchus. No, prohibition-wise, not canceling-wise. If he's contaminated. Means partial. What are you going to say? You find the same language in Bava Kama to certain things also. A whole and not a half, even though it doesn't mean not a half. It means it has. It's emphasis. The half it means it's not a whole. Okay, you have a good answer for it. I'd like to hear it. No. No, it's even the smallest amount. I'll give you an example. By Eidos, right? We say Dover Luchatzi Dover. Right? The witnesses have to testify on something complete, not partial. So if you need two witnesses to create the full picture, you don't combine the two witnesses. Right? It says Al Pi Shnaim Eidim Yokum Dover. So the Gemara says Dover V'Luchatzi Dover. So the Gemara says, so what happens? It's a machlokes tanoim, chazoka. You have a person that occupies property for 3 years, and you have 3 sets of witnesses. First year, second year, and third year. Do you combine the 3 groups to say this man occupied the land for 3 years? Right? So the question, is that chatzi dover? It's a shlish dover. It's a third. Well, let's say you had witnesses 6 months. You had 6 sets of witnesses covering a 3-year period. So it's an argument in the Mishnah. Do you combine them? But you also use the term chatzi, a half. So you see, half doesn't mean specifically half. It's that. Sometimes it does, like Shtei Cyrus. Yeah, you can say a person's a half-wit. It means he has no seichel, period. He's half. He's nothing. What's a half-wit? What do you call me, half-wit? It's a takeoff from Chatzi Shir. Okay? No, Chatzi. Okay, it's Chatzi.